You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
I'm Evan Closky.
All right. Back again. We appreciate it. We are the host of the... Oh, boy. Should we restart it or go with it?
No, I'll go with it.
All right. Evan always bringing some levity to the program. Just watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to the traditional podcast. Find us on social media. Email us, lockedonrays@gmail.com. All right. The Rays kind of have an important critical series coming up, I would say. Not just the old 3-gamer against the Baltimore Orioles, but a 4-game series, Thursday through Sunday. What are your thoughts, Evan, on this?
This is the playoffs. This is it. You know, it's been really interesting watching Kevin Cash manage this month, especially the last handful of games, as per this recording. But let's go back to that Wednesday game in Minnesota. And he says after the game, typically I would have allowed Colin Poche to finish that outing, but I went with the matchup and we brought in Big Spot Bob. And you're seeing him push a lot more buttons, especially pitching-wise. You know, he still all season long, he's done the old switcheroo, this matchup for this guy's out, we're putting this guy here, he's going to go there. Literally like that Always Sunny in Philadelphia gif where he's got the board up with the 90 different strings. Yeah. The offense has always worked that way, but the way that he has been utilizing his bullpen kind of shows you that he's starting to gear up just a little bit. He's taking things a little bit seriously now. Yeah, a little bit more seriously, I should say. So that's the one thing that fans get frustrated with a lot of the times is how Cash plays the probabilities, right? When they're up, he goes all in. When they're down 1 run, he's throwing out his bottom of the bullpen, and he's going to have them eat those innings despite the fact that, you know, his team could definitely come back if they stay in it. But that's just the way you have to manage your guys through the entire course of a season to make sure that they're fresh at the right time. And currently, they definitely would love to have Jason Adam back because he fortifies the back end of that bullpen. But just keep an eye on him. He's still trying to eat some innings, but late in ball games, I think he's trying to figure out who are my guys, who are my dogs, as Deion Sanders would say. Who are my leaders? Who are my dogs?
Who's the better team as of today, pound for pound, the Orioles or the Rays?
Oh, man. I still think that pitching-wise, I trust the Rays way more in a playoff setting than the Orioles. Glasnow, Eflin, Savali. These are guys who have been there, done that in a lot of regards. And the Orioles are new money. They're going through this. This is all kind of fresh. I mean, I love Bradish. I don't think he's talked about enough. But Bradish, Kramer, Flaherty,
Rodriguez.
Yeah, I actually think Grayson Rodriguez might be their game 2 starter at this point. I think he's finally it's finally clicking for him. Gibson. Yeah, they've gotten by this season in ways that the Rays got by in I would say 21. Like they remind me of the 21 Rays a lot. Holy smokes.
Well, they've been really good in 1-run games. It's unreal what their record. The Rays have not been so good in 1-run games. But first, I want to say, tremendous nickname there. Big Spot Bob is
Big Spot Bob.
It's your second best nickname after Kitty for Kittredge.
Yeah,
that's the power ranking.
Yeah.
Little update here. Men on third.
Gunnar Henderson, legit. And I know we're taping this as the series is ending with St. Louis. But Gunnar Henderson missed a home run to tie the game in the 9th inning there by a mere a mere inches there. It
It's
happened
magical for them right now. It's just magical.
Right, he hit it right where the wall
Yeah.
kind of spurts out into whatever that left field wall.
Well, that's the thing about the Orioles. According to FanGraphs and some of their numbers, the Orioles are basically outperforming all of their underlying metrics. They've got, I guess, a category or some sort of metric. Luck wins, and the Orioles have 8 of those, evidently.
Does that matter when? Like, wouldn't that matter more like in May than like 145 games in? Like, maybe this is just who they are. Like, at what point do we still go like, well, they're going to falter? Like, there's 15 games left.
Well, here's the thing about them that's really important to remember is they won a lot of one-run games because they had the combination of Cano and Bautista and Colomé, or whatever the other guy, the lefty. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But they had a very good, like, 7, 8, 9. And Cano, Bautista were lights out. I mean, for a large portion of the season, especially Bautista, who they would throw for 2 innings sometimes, especially if you think back to the last Rays series. I mean, they ran that guy into the ground. And now he's hurt. So there's a little bit more insecurity with how they're going to finish games. And there's not a large enough sample size left for them to really tumble. They already have all those wins banked. But that's why they were really good in one-run games. They got out to those leads in the first 6 innings, and then they just shut it down. And I don't think that's luck more than a byproduct of just the strength of their back end. But that has shown a little bit of a crack here ever since Bautista went down, and Cano isn't quite as locked in as he was for like those first 2 months of the season when he literally had like the most insane statistics ever.
Yeah, and just kind of adding on to that, I'm with you, Evan, on I like the Rays 1, 2, 3, particularly in the playoffs compared to the Orioles 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. I think the lack of playoff experience and the been there, done that experience, I think matters. I could see the Orioles being a one and done, that they have a quick exit out of the playoffs. And the other thing that I want to note, just throwing it out there, they are 8th in OPS. They are 13th in team ERA and 9th in defensive runs saved. Now with the offense, they're well-rounded, very balanced, all that. And I think they have a roster of a lot of, obviously young, talented hitters and players overall. But I don't know if I look up and down the roster, and it's not like there's an easy out to be found, but I don't know if I see 1, 2, 3 hitters that legitimately strike fear in the opposition.
What's really funny, it's funny that you say that, because like 1 through 7 in their order, there's nobody lower than 260, and there's nobody higher than 275 as far as their average is concerned. Mm-hmm. As far as their OPS is concerned, nobody is lower than 713. Nobody's higher than 826. So they're like, you have a lineup like of 6 to 7 guys who you're literally playing the same batter over and over and over again. Some's got a couple have a little bit more pop. Others can get on base a little bit more, but they're very balanced. I would argue that guys like, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, there are a bunch of dudes here who have star potential,
right?
But they are young, and
they're maybe a year or two away from really knocking this off.
Usually, I'm on two sides of this, right? Like a lot of times recently in sports now, when we think you're a year too soon, it's actually the year you need to do it. This might be like this, this might be your window. The Mets, when they had like Syndergaard, Harvey, and DeGrom, like they had all those studs, and it was like, oh, they're going to be a next year team. And then they made it to the World Series against the Royals, lost it. They never returned. It's just one of those things where things start happening. But that's what happens when you build your strength in in the pitching side of things and not necessarily on the hitting side of things. So I think hitting wise, I probably trust Baltimore a little more. Pitching wise, I trust Tampa Bay. And I believe in the playoffs, despite what 162 games tell us, you need the horses in the rotation and the back of the bullpen to get it done. And if you give me Glass now for 7, and I would honestly, I don't know what Jason Adams is going to look like when he returns, but there's an argument to be said. You got to go Big Spot Bob and Fairbanks 8-9, and then maybe you know the next day you go Adam Fairbanks or whatever it might be. And of course, if you have a loss, that's when you start throwing out guys like Kittredge and whatever. But they're pretty well balanced. Heck, like Sean Armstrong is not being talked about enough. He has been, I don't want to jinx it, but he's been as dominant of a relief pitcher this season. The only thing that hurts him is that he was out for 2 months with the injury that he began the season with. But like, his statistics are stupid. They're absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he's been amazing. It's been practically, I think, 83 whip this year.
He's got a
5% walk rate,
a 0.79, a 0.79 ERA, a 0.81 whip. He has 49 strikeouts in about 46 innings, it looks like. And he's issued 8 walks. He's given up 1 home run on the season. In those 46 innings, he's given up a total of 4 earned runs. So that's pretty darn good.
Here's what I'm hoping. Okay, we get to October, the weather still stays warm, so Pete Fairbanks can deliver like he should. Let's pray, cross our fingers for above 68 degrees. If you really have to go crazy, put a patio BTU heater out there on the mound and get make sure Fairbanks' hands and body is warm to go forward with that. All joking aside, Ulises, we have to tell the audience about something extremely important before we continue.
Yes, we do, and that's that modern medical care and treatment are important, but our global supply chains are fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, and foreign travel may cut you off from the treatment that you need. Jase Medical is your solution. Just fill out their online form, and one of Jase Medical's board-certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate. Then, Jase will send your prescriptions to one of their partner pharmacies where your order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. Doesn't that sound nice? You can also send your physician a message for answers to treatment-related questions anytime. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase case. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON to save an additional $20 off at jasemedical.com.
So something that Ulises and I had discussed earlier on this week in the impact that it will have, the absence of Jose Siri for the rest of the regular season and maybe leading into the playoffs. Evan, what's your take on how big of a loss Jose Siri is, not having him in the lineup, in the field, on the base paths, in the clubhouse, etc.?
Jose Siri will be around. He won't. I don't know if he'll be there for the next 4 days, but it's an important loss. I'm more concerned come playoff time whether he can return or not. Here's the thing: Manuel Margot is a pretty good outfielder.
Yes,
he has not been a good hitter. Maybe this stint where he's kind of like he's been hurt. He's been able to get away from the team and kind of like regroup because this has objectively been a really bad year for him. He smashed it in AAA. I wonder with the Orioles series, and I'm sure we have the answer by now. I'm wondering if he's going to be up with the team that they wanted to start. They wanted to bring him up to start the homestand against the Angels. I wonder if they're just going to bring him up now. Just judging by the importance, judging by how successful he's been in his 2 starts there in Durham. And so defensively, with Margot out there, I think you're okay. No one's going to be able to replace Siri, just like nobody was able to replace KK when he was here. So that's a big loss because already up the middle, I mean, the Rays, when they had Wander and Siri, that is like as strong as it gets defensively. Now they don't have either. And come playoff time, you win within the small margins. But what are you really missing with the bat? You miss some power, but more often than not, he's a guy who he doesn't steal often despite his speed. He was doing it a little bit more actually down the stretch. I always thought that the injury to start the season made him kind of taper off, and then it just became like, no, I'm not going to steal. But the problem is he doesn't really get on base enough to have those experiences because he's either hitting it out of the park or he's kind of smashing a double. There's very little middle ground with him.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't want to poo-poo on it. Like if you have 15 games left, I'd say he's probably going to hit like 3 home runs in that stretch, right? Now where he does it, how important it is, I don't know. But you can replace the bat. You can replace the bat for a guy who strikes out nearly like 35% of the time and never walks, right? And if Margot can be sort of this like singles, doubles, contact hitter type of guy, in some regards, he might actually balance out this lineup a little bit more, which has always been my issue with the Rays is that they're so strikeout heavy, which doesn't allow them to kind of rattle off big innings because no one's stringing hits together because there's always a bomb in that lineup that's going to strike out and ruin the ability to keep the line moving or move people over. You can't kind of play small ball with the Rays, and I don't think they have enough consistent beef to keep playing the long ball, even though recently and for a good chunk of time, they've proved their worth from, they had that stint in the start of the season. Recently, they've done a lot better. But yeah, I go back and forth because his energy is infectious and he is a world-class center fielder, and that's not to be discounted. So the fielding-wise is a big loss, but the hitting, I'm curious to see how that plays out.
So knowing that's how you feel about the Siri injury, and we know what this team has been able to do lately with the pitching staff, we asked on Twitter on September 19th, or let's say right now, forget about that. Right now, what do you have the most trust in as a Rays fan? Starting pitching, bullpen, or offense? 28% of people said starting pitching, 49% of people said bullpen, and 23% of people said offense. Evan, what part of this Rays team do you have most trust in as of right now?
I think the most trust that I have in this team is their three-headed monster at the top. I know Savali's kind of been he hasn't been perfect. His stuff, though, looks amazing. Like his underlying stuff. Like I don't worry about him. Efficiency was never really his issue before. I don't know why it's kind of been a problem here. Maybe it's just a natural regression to the mean of like the crazy stretch he had in Cleveland. And maybe some of the tinkering that they're doing with him with the shapes of his pitches. But when looking through a 162-game season, like that's what I also try to tell people is like when you see Kittredge out there in a high leverage spot or Davinsky or whatever, these guys are not going to be out there in the playoffs in those positions. They're only going to be out there to eat innings in a bad game. If they're losing by 3 or 4, throw them out there. Let's keep our guys fresh. Go on to the next one. Like the arms are pretty set, right? In a 4-game series, you're throwing Littell probably once, which, is a little scary considering his propensity to give up home runs. Despite how much I like him, he gives up the gopher ball. Like it just ruins some of it. His stat line is pretty spotless, and then it's always got like 2 home runs at the end of it. So his mistakes get buried. But if we draw out the starting rotations for every playoff team, the Rays are up there. Like Glasnow, Eflin, Savali, 1, 2, 3. Give me 6 strong minimum, with Glasnow having the green light to go 7. And then, as we mentioned before, between Adam, Big Spot Bob, Fairbanks, Armstrong, Poche has been really good this season. Not enough people talk about that. He's been pretty darn good. They all got experience. So, yeah, I'll tell you this. You know what? Here's my real answer: Yandy Diaz.
Yeah. That said,
he's the number one guy, but the hitting's just too up and down for me.
Yeah. No, that three-headed monster is really, I think, something that you can hang your hat on, and for next year as well. Savali is going to return. Zach Eflin's going to return. I would imagine that the Rays will do everything they can to keep Tyler Glasnow and his $25 million salary on the roster as well. But I think we're going to go back and say, man, the Rays really cleaned up in the Savali Kyle Manzardo swap and really got a lot of value out of that. We have baseball trivia, Name That War, next. But first, we have to tell you about FanDuel. That's right. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV, respectively. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, and kick off the NFL season with an offer you do not want to miss. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. All right, getting to baseball trivia and Name That War. My trivia question for you all is in regards to the Baltimore Orioles. And in front of me, I have a list of players who have at least 5,000 plate appearances in a Baltimore Orioles uniform. 19, actually. No, you do not have to name all 19. I just want 6 of the 19 names.
Can you repeat the
Yes. So there are 19 players who garnered at least 5,000 plate appearances in an Orioles uniform. I need 6 of those names.
Nick Markakis.
Nick Markakis would be correct. Number 13 on the list with 5,966.
Adam Jones.
Adam Jones is correct. Number 7 on this list with 6,841.
Chris Davis.
Chris Davis is not on this list.
I will go with Venezuelan bump, Melvin Mora, underrated man.
Melvin Mora does make this list. 5,388 PAs.
Miguel Tejada.
Somebody named Miguel Tejada. Did he do it enough in an Orioles uniform? That is the question. No, he did not. Strike 2.
Okay.
Oh, I got another one. All right. Scratch the one out. Brian Roberts.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can I do that, or is that?
No, I mean it counts, but I just want to go again because I thought of it, and I don't want to steal Melvin Mora.
You cut in front of Ulises to guess Brian Roberts. Was that a smart play? Yes, it was. He is on this list. 5,905 plate appearances. So I believe you all have 4 names thus far. You need 2 more.
Yeah, and that you know what sucks is that he totally read my face that said Brian Roberts because that's exactly
You took
what
Melvin Mora from me, so I'm taking Brian Roberts from you. I was such a dunce for doing Chris Davis. I felt so good.
God. Okay. Big. Okay. Brooks Robinson.
Brooks Robinson is a good guess, and it is correct. Number 2 on this list with 11,782.
Oh, man.
So we need one more, and we have 1 strike.
1 more, and you have 1 strike left. Because Evan guessed Miguel Tejada for some strange reason.
I regret that one.
Athletics.
Wait, does he? So he only missed once.
Somebody missed Chris Davis as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Damn it,
How
Evan.
did Miguel? I'm looking at Miguel Tejada. I'm not looking at
Okay.
that.
Evan, how do you feel? Well, maybe no, he didn't. No. Scratch that name. This is a toughie.
He had 3,100 at bats with Baltimore.
How do you feel? How do you feel about Palmeiro?
Oh, God. Between him and the Rangers, I feel like we're falling back to the same thing.
Oh my gosh, we're so dumb. Ripken Jr.
Oh, yeah. What the hell are we doing?
Is Cal Ripken Jr. on this list? That is the question. He is on this list. He's number 1 on the list.
Wow, what a surprise.
12,883 plate appearances. I kind of wish you all wouldn't have guessed him, and then y'all would have egg on your face. But
my man said Chris Davis before Cal Ripken Jr.
and Miguel Tejada, but Cal Ripken Jr. Yeah, man, I already forgot about him.
That's a good one. It's tough when you're put in the hot seat, man.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna give any excuses.
Yeah,
it's pathetic.
Hey, we got him.
You got him. So I'll run through them
for
real
some
quickly.
reason, and like my crazy mind's going with like Jeff Conine in my head.
Yeah, not a bad guess. He wouldn't have been on here, but Ripken Jr. number 1, Brooks Robinson 2, Eddie Murray 3, Brady Anderson 4, dark horse pick 5, George Sisler 6, Boog Powell 7, Adam Jones 8, Mark Bellinger 9, Harland Clift 10, Bobby Wallace 11, Paul Blair 12, Ken Singleton 13, Markakis 14, Brian Roberts number 15, the greatest player that ever lived, Al Bunbury 16, Melvin Mora number 17, the second greatest player that ever lived, Jimmy Austin number 18, the best name of all time in baseball and professional sports for that matter, Baby Doll Jacobson. And then number 19, Wally Gerber.
Let it be known that at least Chris Davis had how many at bats?
No, Closky, just take the L.
He had 4,100 at bats with the Orioles.
Okay,
that was better than Tejada,
yeah,
who had 3,100 or something.
It took you all 8 guesses to get to Cal Ripken Jr., but that's okay.
All right, hey, whatever, I got him.
I mean, Chris Davis spent 10 years with the Orioles. It's not that bad of a guess.
No. Yeah. All right. So now we go to play Name That War. And if you've not seen us play this game before, Name That War is when we take a player from the past and we try to guess his career war according to Baseball Reference using only our baseball archived mind. So today's player from the past, it is a Baltimore Oriole, and my goodness, it just seemed like this guy played against the Rays all the bleeping time. His name is Jeremy Guthrie. What is Jeremy Guthrie's career war according to Baseball Reference?
Why would you give us Jeremy Guthrie?
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, in somebody's hearts.
Hall of Millionaire.
I'm out of my league on this one. I can't even pin.
I can go first if it gives you a little inspiration.
Sure.
So Jeremy Guthrie played at least a decade in the bigs. I'm going to say 12, 13 years, probably for a couple different teams, notably the Orioles, and I want to say Royals, but I could be wrong on that.
You're right.
Man, I think he had a couple opening day starts against the Rays, if I recall, but I'll digress from all that. I think really solid career. I'm thinking career ERA of like 4.2. Probably got more or less 1,500 strikeouts and 130 wins. Bottle all up that together. And he's got a career WAR of, I don't know, 16. That's my guess.
Yeah, I was a little less bullish on him. The number I wrote down here was 13.4, but I'll go 14.4.
So Evans is 14.4. Kevin, you say what?
16.
16, just on the dot. Well, Jeremy Guthrie, he pitched 13 years in the league for teams like the Orioles, the Royals, the then Cleveland Indians, Colorado Rockies, and the Washington Nationals. That's who he retired with. He pitched 1,765 innings. He had a career 91 victories and 109 losses. He had an ERA of 4.42, which is an ERA plus of 97, a FIP of 4.78. He did not have 1,500 strikeouts. He had 1,046 strikeouts, and his career WAR is 18.4. Not bad, boys. You guys were there.
Also, I'm looking up his career stats here. His final year, 2017, as a Washington National at 38 years old. He finished that season with a 135 ERA. Had one game started. He had the old Josh Fleming against the Red Sox.
Oh, my God.
10 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning.
Yeah, I see that. The ERA plus for that year is 5.
That's not good.
Nope, not good. Well, that was fun, boys. Good Friday episode. Hopefully, by this time, the Rays have won Thursday's game, and we will all be happy about that. And then they probably, hopefully, take 2 more out of this 4-game series. Evan, last question. Just using one word. How many games did the Rays win against this Baltimore Orioles in Camden Yards in a 4-game series?
3.
Let's go.
Also, before we end, Google Evan Closky. That's where you can find his work.
Keep it real simple. Yeah, keep it real simple. 10 Tampa Bay, Evan Closky.
There we go. All right. We hope you all have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.